Hello, everyone, and welcome, and thanks for joining us for Social Media Marketing Basics. My name is Eleanor. I'm a librarian at the St. Louis Public Library, and we're always so happy to partner with the Small Business Development Centers for these small business programs. Our presenter today is Amina Abdul Malik, who is a business counselor with the St. Louis Small Business Development Center. She can help with everything from putting together a business plan to understanding financial statements. And today she will be talking about online marketing. So over to you.
Thank you so much for that lovely introduction, Eleanor. And thank you to everyone for joining us this morning. I think we're getting a little bit of break in the weather now, temperature-wise, but I think it's going to come with a little bit of rain. But I'm excited to have a little bit of lower temperatures, and it is my pleasure to join you all. Today's topic, but really is going to be online marketing and getting you all prepared to either dive into the online marketplace with your small business or even take better steps and next steps into strengthening your existing online presence for your small business. And Eleanor already gives me an excellent introduction every time, but my name is Amina Abdul Malik, and I am one of the business development counselors at the Small Business Development Center. Our offices are located, really, we have offices across the city and county of St. Louis. Our main office is located in the T-Rex building in downtown St. Louis, but we have a presence in North, South, and West counties as well. I think that today's, with the amount of participants that we have today, usually, if we have a smaller, intimate class, will allow everyone to introduce themselves on the mic because I love to hear from you all. But since we have such a large group today, I would love for you all to introduce yourselves in the chat periodically, and I will read through those periodically as we're going through the presentation. I would love to learn your name, what type of business you have, or what business idea you are working on developing, how far along you are in your business plans right now, and also looking to hear what you learned to gain from the workshop, or what are some of those tools and tricks, or what are some of the reasons why online marketing or you think that online marketing is important or relevant to your business. And while you all are typing up some introductions, really quickly, if anyone wants to come off mute and answer this as well, has anyone already heard of the Small Business Development Centers and our services before? Well, if not, if you haven't, just to give you a little bit more of information about us and what we do, we are a statewide network of support for entrepreneurs like yourselves who are looking to either start or grow their existing small businesses. We usually help in two key areas or in two key ways, and that's through one-on-one counseling and training events and programs such as this one today. And generally, we like to think of our counseling team as expert generalists. So we have some level of expertise and experience in counseling in all of those different key functional areas of business, like accounting, helping you prepare a business plan, helping you develop your financial projections, or if you're already in business and have your financial statements, helping you better understand and analyze those financial statements, getting access to market research and analytical data, which is also something that Eleanor and her team at the library can assist with, helping you develop a marketing plan, which is, we're going to kind of talk a little bit about that today. So the Small Business Development Center is here for you all as entrepreneurs in the community. And I look forward to hopefully setting up an additional counseling session or seeing you all in a future training session as well. And let's read through a couple of these introductions. Hello, Sherilyn, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. And Lizzie, you work in arts and education, hope to learn more about analytics and practical tips where the industry is heading. Hello to Neil, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. McLean, you've been a makeup artist for over 15 years and own Angelic Faces Makeup Artistry, LLC. Well, welcome. Hello, Shannon, interested in marketing tools for small businesses, and Ronald, who the National Cancer Screen Cancer Diagnostics Laboratory. Okay, so you're a post-research and completed development of a novel test. You're currently in a mode to attract attention and funding for your lab build out. Okay, so definitely an important project to want to market and make sure that your value is being communicate it with the potential audiences that you're looking to reach. And then Krista, good morning to you as well. And you own Gaia or Gaia Screen Theater. We do a lot of community outreach and work with at-risk and underprivileged kids. Thank you so much for joining. Gail, SavingOurStoriesNow.com. You help people write memoirs, provide an audio tape of personal history interviews. That is so cool. Also doing photo organizing and some freelance work as well. Oh, and thank you for that compliment as well. We at the SBDC, we try to offer and make sure these presentations are things that you could take back with you into your business. And one of the things that I'll mention, and I'll continue these introductions as I go through the presentation today, is the presentation that you see today is always just the first step to me as a counselor. The biggest level of value that you'll get from this event, this training today, is the additional tools and resources, the connections you're able to make and take back with you into your business. And I'll show you all some of those tools as we go along today. So as we get started, there's really the first way to really consider any decision about your business or any growth mechanism, or before you start developing an online marketing strategy, you really want to consider 5 different things. And we simplify these things into these 5 different segments to make it easier to frame the mindset and the mentality you need to have when thinking about going online or developing an online marketing strategy for your business. And these 5 things are just comprised of the who. So who are you talking to? Before you go online and start to post messaging or communicate with your potential audiences, you want to have a clear understanding of who you're talking to. And we're going to talk about what goes into each of these different 5 components in a little bit more detail here. So you want to start off by identifying who you're talking to. I always tell my clients that you cannot target everyone, but you can sell to everyone, but you cannot target everyone. You also need to consider what you need to say. And so we're going to talk a little bit more about content selection, how to select content, the different types of content that is out there and is popular. And then we're going to talk about the how. We're also going to talk about how you need to do it, how to implement these processes, but we're also going to learn a little bit more as well about the when are the appropriate times to communicate online, the where, these different platforms now that have been constantly changing, and some of these platforms, we're still trying to develop solid analytical data about how they work. And then finally wrap it up with that how and the tools that you're going to need to take with you to make the implementation process more efficient for you. Because what happens when you get all this information in as an entrepreneur, taking that information in is good, but then spitting it back out and using it on your business becomes the more challenging part. So we're going to wrap up today's presentation with talking about how you can take all this information and these tools with you to make your journey online easier and more efficient for your business. And one of the things that you all will be able to access at the conclusion of this presentation, once I receive all of your email addresses from Eleanor, will be a comprehensive marketing strategy template document. And this marketing strategy template will actually walk you through creating an online marketing strategy and kind of guide you through outlining these 5 different things you need to know in relation to that marketing strategy. So that is something that is about a 20-page document or so, but it will really help you take the next steps and use this information to just start making these actual decisions about the who, what, when, where, and how behind your business. And Gil, I see, I read that one already. Alexa, good morning, good morning. You work as an urban planner and own a theater company. Would like to start an art-based development firm. Welcome, welcome. Michelle, you are a health coach and you've been building online group programs and would like to learn how to attract more customers for both your one-on-one coaching as well as online group programs. Thank you so much for joining. Andrew, you're a wedding photographer, officially since 2020, but of course have all of that unofficial experience that's still relevant for 12 years and trying to get better reach with conversions. And Jessica, welcome. You write in tech edit quilt patterns, looking to expand your reach to new clients. Now, today, the first step in considering your online marketing strategy is really just starting off with identifying what your goals are and the why behind going online. A lot of times I'm working with clients. A lot of times I'm working with clients and their first instinct is to go online. So they know that they want to be online. They know that they want to be communicating their value in that way because of the importance of it, but don't quite know why. So the first step in developing your online marketing strategy is to start with a clear objective and goals. And that's really within everything you do within your business and strategic planning. Without a goal, you are essentially on a treadmill. And there are several different types of goals that we can think about, and feel free to type in the chat, what are some of the reasons why you think that your business needs to be online? What are some of the goals or the objectives that you all are considering for your small businesses right now? And we want to consider two types of goals when we're developing these objectives for your company. Those goals we need to have some short-term goals and as well as some long-term goals. And some examples of some short-term goals, and I'm seeing these terms used in the chat already by some of you all. So I can tell that you all have already started to do a little bit of research on your analytics, but what do we want to do in the short term? Are we really on Facebook or on LinkedIn or on Twitter or even TikTok to build website traffic, to bring more people into the website, to do what? When you're creating and thinking about your online marketing strategy and really your marketing strategy as a whole, you want to be able to guide that customer from each touch point and then guide them into becoming a lead and then a paying customer. So you want to have a clear understanding of if you want your customers to interact with you on social media and online to build website traffic, are you trying to increase conversions? And I'm looking back to see who mentioned that they were trying to increase conversions, Andrew, and that's something that when you are utilizing online marketing is super important. But what is a conversion? A conversion is the act really of just simply converting a visitor to your site to a paying customer. So it's the process really of transferring an online lead to a paying customer essentially. And that's what a conversion is. So that could be a short-term goal for you. And I see we have folks that are working on that as a short-term goal. So some of you all have already taken the first step, which is to understand what objectives and goals you are looking to fulfill. Do you want to build engagement rates? And engagement rates are the number or the frequency that people are actually interacting with your post. Long-term goals that you can consider: name recognition, brand awareness, obviously, increasing SEO. SEO is one of those hot button terms right now, or really in general within online marketing, that really just represents the process and the entire scope of growing the quality and the quantity of your website traffic by increasing the visibility of your site or your posting or your web page on these various search engines. So SEO is all about strengthening your recognition and your place on Google and the various search engines. So that's another term, if you're not familiar with, that you will continue to hear as you develop your online marketing strategy as well. So you want to start off by developing clear goals that are both short-term and long-term in length. Now, the who is a very, very important topic. And I think when entrepreneurs like yourselves are looking to utilize online marketing and social media marketing for your businesses, I think that not enough time is taken on this step right here. And feel free to come off of mute and share this as well, or type in the chat. And I'm going to get back to the chat here and read a few more introductions as well, because I see they keep coming in. But when you all think about your online advertisements or the way that you communicate online, who would you say your target customer is, or your ideal customer is for your business? And anyone can speak to this, but I'm very curious, how do you all in your head kind of determine who your customers, your ideal customers are? Very oftentimes I'll ask an entrepreneur that, or a client that, and they say, oh, well, there's so many different types of people that will find value in my products or services. I can't just think of one ideal. There is a 20-year-old that would enjoy this. There is a 50 or 60-year-old that will enjoy this. There's a woman that will enjoy this, a man. A target market, and the second component of developing your online marketing strategy is all about defining the who and defining your target market. And the simple definition of a target market is really just a specific group of people that you have decided to target with your products or services. It could be a large market, it could also be a small market. But the goal of you segmenting your customers is to better be able to relate and serve them based on their individual needs, wants, and desires. So you may have that 20-year-old and that 50-year-old that will consistently find value in your service, but are they finding the same value? Is the ways that they want to be shown the potential value of your products and services the same? They may not be. The 20-year-old might want to be communicated with in a completely different way about your same product as the 50-year-old may. And so we want to make sure that you are taking the step, and I promise that if you take your time and develop solid market segments for your customers, it will make your journey online with your company a lot easier, because you're then able to design all of your marketing communications around your complete understanding of what those groups of customers are looking for and how they want to be communicated with. Before I continue, I want to read a few more of these introductions as well. Roseanne, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, you're hoping to jumpstart a baking business. You know, I always love hearing if we could combine and have a networking session with all of our business owners here in this class, we would have a bunch of great products and services to share. You know, some baked goods, I would love to join. Gabby, I see you have a question as well, but thank you so much for joining, Roseanne. Go ahead, Gabby, if you want to come off of mute. I see your hand raised.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to raise it.
Oh, no problem, no problem. Well, I'm super informal, so if you all have questions, I know Eleanor said it at the beginning, but feel free to come off of mute and chat with me. I think, Sherilyn, I read your introduction. Oh, you have a cleaning spa business. Thank you for joining. And I see, Ronald, you were answering this question here. I wanted to make sure that I'm caught up in the chat. And then Sunil, you were answering the question as well. Your business needs to be online because your business of makeup artistry is very visual, very, very true. It's a very visual business, and you can see very quickly from a picture or video if you like a person's services, and you want to increase your revenue by 3% to make up for the shortfall that you will lose by leaving your corporate America job and going to school full time to get your license. And Ronald, I see you were saying that your business needs to be online for awareness, credibility, and to raise funds. For a lot of your business models, raising funds is a very important factor, depending on if you are using fundraising within your business model or if you're selling services in some ways as well. So going back to the who, the first step in defining your target market is to really consider your existing customers if you're already in business. And your existing customers are going to tell you a lot about what's going right with the way that you're marketing your products and services and the way that your products and services are even designed. And this group is also going to let you know a lot of what could be going better with the communication of value of your business or the actual products or services themselves. So you want to take the first steps of doing some self-analysis on your actual value proposition or what you're offering your customers, and then take the next step of doing the same type of evaluation for your products and services. So understanding, and this is a term that we use in a few different areas, but understanding the relation between a feature and a benefit. So when you're analyzing the value of your product and service, you want to make sure that you are translating all of those features or the things that your products and services do into actual deeper macro level benefits for your customers. So if you have a bicycle, if you sell bicycles, and one of the features you want to excite your customers about that bicycle, you may be inclined to start telling them about the padded seats that your bikes have, or the self-cool water bottle holder that your bicycles have. And all of those are great things. They're cool, but those are features. The features will help you. Features will kind of help you provide that foundation, but the benefits are what are actually going to sell the product for your customers. So instead of explaining all those different things that the bike does, what does that padded seat and that self-cooling water bottle holder actually provide the customers more time on their bicycle, a more comfortable ride. And that's why you hear the language in marketing communications more about how it benefits your customers versus all the things that these products and services do. Once you get through that analysis of your product and service, and once you've kind of evaluated who your current customers are, you can then try to evaluate and segment your customers into groups. And these groups can be based on a bunch of different components or factors. Feel free to type in the chat or come off of mute. Has anyone for their business already done some customer segmentation? If not, and the first steps are typically to kind of segment your customers using demographics and psychographics. Demographic traits, those are really the subsets of a target market, and you may have heard this term before, but demographics are those components within a target market or those people within a target market that share similar attributes or particular attributes. Demographic traits are usually those qualities that are seen as less easily changeable, such as sex, family status, education level, income, family size, occupation, and even race. So your demographics explain the who about your buyer, and then we even can segment your customers using psychographic traits. And psychographic traits are similar to demographics, and I like to say they kind of add an extra layer to demographic traits. And psychographic information can include what your buyer's habits are, what their hobbies are, what they value, what they enjoy, who makes the buying decision in their household. So psychographic traits will explain to you why your buyers buy, while demographic traits will explain to you who your buyer is. And so the demographics are more of those dry facts that we use to kind of create a foundation of a target customer segment. And psychographic traits can allow us to dive deeper and learn even more about your potential, about your customers. I wanted to quickly take a look at a couple examples before we move forward here. And so let me pull this up. And I think this is a great example because previously when I taught this, when I gave this presentation, the company that we're going to take a look at, I want to take a look at just a few quick case studies or two quick case studies, and we're just going to take a couple minutes on this. Excuse me, but I would like to show you all two examples of a company understanding its target market and then utilizing their online marketing presence to best reach that target market segment. And the first example of that is Miracle-Gro. And when I first started giving this presentation, the Miracle-Gro website was completely different. And I am trying to, as I go to new share here, let me pull this up. And I want to just quickly show what Miracle-Gro's website looks like now. And if I can find a picture, I could not find the older picture, but I want you all to know that Miracle-Gro's website before this change was very, very targeted to men. And we know that, and we knew that from several different things that we could see on the Miracle-Gro site. And we could tell that there was a lot of green color. You could not see this fun types of font. Everything was written very small. Everything looked very technical on their site. And so we could infer that their previous website design was based on or trying to market to a target market segment of males who probably own their own home, who would have enough disposable income to be able to purchase these products for their home improvement and their lawn and gardening improvement. Now, when I came back to this website recently, I noticed that the website is now completely changed. And now the website is much more fresh. It's fun. It's a little bit more fun. It seems a little bit more inviting to maybe women or maybe those who are a little bit younger than Miracle-Gro's previous segment. And what are some of the reasons we could think of that may be the case for Miracle-Gro changing the language and the design of its website? Trends. you know, and when we think about Miracle-Gro, this company, we know that they probably are still targeting men, but them changing their website and making it more fresh has allowed them to potentially reach a new demographic or even psychographic segment of customers. Now, the next example I want to quickly show, and it actually is a good comparison to the website we're on now in Miracle-Gro, is Lush. And do you all see the Lush screen right now? Did it switch tabs when I moved over? Okay, thank you, Shannon, I see you. Now, Lush website has also went through some changes since the last time I actually gave this presentation as well. And so it's also very interesting, and this is a good point and something I want you all to take back for your businesses. Reiterating and reevaluating your marketing strategy and content frequently is also very, very important. Lush's site, if you're not familiar with Lush and what they do, they are a cosmetic company, and their cosmetics are supposed to be very good for the environment. Their entire business is really supposed to be good for their environment. And they have a set of very, very strong values that are all about sustainability and the environment as a whole. Now, what can we see looking at their site? Anything that we notice? One thing I noticed out of the gate from their site is when I go to a website and I'm trying to get a sense of who a company is, I always look at the dashboard here and what buttons the company is using. This kind of will give you an indication of what's important to that company. So when you are going and redesigning your website for the 50th time, because you know we're never done with these things, I want you all to pay a lot of attention to the buttons that are used on your site, because a lot of times that will give people an indication of what's important to your company. The first button on Lush's site is not even their product, it's their impact. So you can tell that they are targeting individuals or groups that have that value the impact that Lush has on their communities and their environment. And you can tell that Lush wants that to be in the forefront of their marketing. They also indicate here right on their top advertisement on their site, packaging free hair care, zero added waste. Everywhere that you go, you see indications of how their products are healthy, are good for the environment, or ethical. So it's all over all of their marketing materials. And when we actually look at the products that Lush is selling, everything, all of those same values are reiterated not only in their marketing materials, but in the actual products themselves. So when we take a look at Lush's site, we could probably infer that one of their target customer segments, just one, because you don't necessarily always have one segment. In fact, I typically don't recommend just having one segment. We could infer that one of Lush's target segments may be women who are aged maybe 35 years old or younger, that may be vegetarian or vegan, or also may have that may value socially responsible trade, that may value environmental ethics. So we can determine all of those things just by looking at Lush's website for a very, very short amount of time. So after you've taken your time to try to draft and develop what you believe several key or attractive customer segments may be, make sure that you actually also take the step of evaluating those segments. And there are several ways that you can evaluate. You can survey, you could do observation, you can compare with competitors, but you need to make sure that you're not just creating these segments and just believing that they're the right ones. You want to evaluate and make sure that you have selected the right segments to target for your company. Now let's talk a little bit about the what. How many times have you went to a company's Facebook page, their Twitter, even their LinkedIn, or any one of their social media pages to try to get information, and all you saw was something that wasn't relevant to what you needed? You saw maybe an advertisement, you saw something that didn't draw you in, or you're scrolling down a company's Facebook page to try to learn more about them, and all you see is the same post over and over, or the same type of post or information. So finding the right content is very, very important, and you want to make sure that you are diversifying your postings. And this is where having a plan, and we're going to talk a little bit about how to structure your post at the end of the presentation, but making sure that you are utilizing your platform and utilizing the right type of content that your target customer segments want to see. And that could be different. That could be very different based on your industry. Let's say you are a client that is providing, let's say, social services to at-risk youth. Your target customers are not only the at-risk youth, but the people that make buying decisions for those at-risk youth people. So because of that, the postings or the content that you might utilize, it can't just be for the youth. It can't just be fun TikTok videos, because yes, that's going to get the youth that you're looking to serve, but the people that are actually making the buying decisions probably may want information that tells them the value of your services, reports, testimonials. So you really want to consider, and that's why it all goes back to determining who you're targeting and why, and utilize that information to best diversify your postings and get information and communicate with your customers in the ways they want to be communicated with. When we look at this graphic that came out from a company called Sprout Social, which does online marketing data and research, the number one reason why people reach out to brands on social media is to ask a question, to get a question answered. I know one of my number one things to do when I'm scoping out a new restaurant is to check Yelp, to check their Facebook page, to see what the parking situation looks like. Do they take credit or debit cards? The second highest reason people may reach out to brands on social media is an issue with the product or service. We know all too well that bad news in the marketing world and in the business world tends to travel a lot faster than good. The third top reason that people reach out to brands on social media is to praise that product or service. And then the last two, wrapping it up, are just comments about their experiences. So you also, I know all too well one of the main challenges with finding the right content. And there's typically two challenges for you all as entrepreneurs. Number one is actually having content to post and finding relevant content to consistently communicate value and to communicate with your customers. And I also see that another common challenge is having the time to do so. When do you have the time? And I have a tool for you to kind of help you with the time it takes. And another component of having the time to post and understand having the time to find the right content is utilizing a content automation tool, a content creation tool first. A content curation tool is something that you can use, and I'm going to pull up an example right now really quickly. And it's a tool that you can use to find relevant quality content related to your industry to post. And let me see, BuzzSumo. And I will show you all a quick example of one of the tools, an example of a content curation tool. And usually these tools, you can get free trials, you can get a baseline free subscription and get access to some of just the baseline offerings on these platforms. But a lot of these content curation tools will cost you a little bit of money, anywhere from $15 to $25 a month usually for these tools. But if you are needing or in an industry, and I'm going back to, I think, Ronald, I'm looking at some of your different types of businesses may need this tool more than others, but ones that may be doing fundraising or need to post knowledge-based information. So if you're looking for information for a blog, or you're needing to communicate knowledge to your customers versus try to promote, it can be helpful for you to be able to type in, let's say, makeup. And when you type in makeup, it's going to find you all of the content in its content analyzer that has that keyword makeup in it. And you will see not only the date that these items came out, or the date that these different articles came out, and you will actually see the level of Facebook engagement and other key engagement rates for each of these different articles. So you're able to use BuzzSumo to find content for you. You don't have to Google search anymore. You can use tools like this to help you find relevant content for your business. The next component of finding the right content is that content automation tool. And how many of you all are scheduling your post right now? Okay, Jessica, I see that you are using a post scheduler. Would you mind telling us which one you are using? Are you using the scheduling tools within the social media platforms right now, or are you utilizing another social media or content automation tool? And there are a few different ones. Oh, okay. So yes, Jessica, thank you. You're doing your content automation right now through the social media platform, and that is a great thing. You all are operating your businesses at a great time. I remember several years ago, the social media platforms were just kind of starting to roll out integrated content automation tools for all different types of accounts, because when they first rolled those out, they kind of left them to high level accounts, and now everyone has access to them. So that is great. I actually haven't heard of Later. The one I'm going to show you all really quickly is Buffer, but there are a various amount or various different content automation tools like Buffer, Later, CoSchedule, Sprout Social, and these content automation tools, and this is actually one for our Small Business Development Center account, which we do not do the best job of, I will be honest. We actually aren't using Buffer anymore, but Buffer and these different tools will allow you to not only set up and schedule all of your posts for different times, you can even then get into the analytics of your posts and also kind of learn more about how your posts are doing, and then have essentially a content calendar essentially already made for all of your posts that you can use and organize and manage. And so the use of these tools, okay, Tennille, you've used Later before and it's really good. I'm curious about the cost of Later. The cost of Buffer is about $20 a month. Okay, $15 a month. Yep, and so $15 a month is what it would take for you to get a probably similar cost to Later as well. You don't have to pay for these content automation tools. Like Jessica said, now you are able to do a lot of your content automation within the social media platforms that you were using. But once you get to the level of managing all of these different platforms, it can be somewhat efficient to have a content automator as well to assist. And the last thing I want to mention about finding the right content is to also prepare for frequently asked questions. Please, 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 everywhere that your company has a presence online, make sure that you are preparing yourself for what your customers are going to expect and need. What is the next step of the process for them to become a paying customer? And a big component of that is being prepared for their questions. We see that one of the number one reasons why people reach out to brands is to get a question answered. So get ahead of the game with your customers, prepare those frequently asked questions, have that on your landing page, your website, and also try to highlight your frequently asked questions in ways on your social media platforms as well. I would love to go to a company's Facebook page and see just a reminder post. Reminder, we're sold out of this. We're not using this process today. So just constantly communicating, using your social media platforms to also communicate and also answer questions will be helpful for finding and developing your content. The next component of developing your online marketing strategy is the when. We know that there are a lot of different options on where and when to post, and we're going to talk about where next. But when we think about when, I don't want you all to come away from this thinking there is one complete answer to this question, because there is not. When to post on social media is a question that is answered with a a lot of different factors, including what you are selling and who you are selling it to, and when those customers want to be communicated with. Now, the information and the statistics I have on this slide now are going to be more so relevant for those traditional industries, those business industries, those industries where your customers work traditional jobs and are traditionally in some type of office or in some type of work setting throughout the day. But that is not every business's demographic. That is not who all of your businesses are going to be targeting, are not going to be targeting the same types of people. And so if you are an entertainer, or you are advertising, let's say a weekend activity, or a weekend hiking group that you promote and that you get paid for to manage, you may want to advertise on different days of the week than I have on this slide. But in general, it has been studied and proven and shown that Thursday is the best day of the week to post on Facebook. And this is just very generally. The safest times to post are generally in the day when people are at work, they're ready to be distracted. That's that 10 a.m. time to that 3 p.m. time. Saturday typically has the least amount of engagement on Facebook. And when we think about that, we know Saturdays get busy. We only, if you're working a traditional 9 to 5, you may only have those 2 off days of the week. And Saturday becomes errand day. It becomes chore day. It can even become fun day, hopefully. So Saturdays typically have the lowest amount of engagement for Facebook in the week. Evenings and early mornings are similar to Saturday in terms of engagement because people are commuting. They're getting off work, they're getting on work, they are picking up their families, they're getting dinner, they are getting ready for bed. And so your best engagement typically for most industries is going to be during the weekdays, during the day. However, the best practice when determining your content calendar and your scheduling for your posting is to do analysis of your target customer segments. And you all see everything goes back to who you're targeting and why. And you utilize that information about them to determine when they are most likely going to want to be interacted with, when they are going to want to be communicated with about your product or service. This slide is a little bit out of date and needs to be slightly updated. I have added TikTok onto it, but I have not changed over the actual graphic of the slide. But we know that as we sit here today, the number of social media platforms are probably still growing right now. So finding the right platform is obviously a very, very important part of your strategy in reaching your customers and reaching them in the right ways. Some of the questions you can ask yourself to try to figure out the right platform for your content and your business, and it starts with who your audience is. Who are you communicating with? How can you reach them? And it all goes back again to what your goals are, because these different social media platforms have different strengths and weaknesses in relation to the ways that you're able to communicate, or the best ways you're able to use these different platforms to communicate. So Facebook, for instance, we know that Facebook is the big king of the social media platforms. It has over 1.3 billion users, super large populations of users, but because of that large population, Facebook has a lot of noise now. It's very, very loud on Facebook. It's very, very crowded on Facebook. So with all of that noise, it's very, very important for you all to remember how individuals are using Facebook. Facebook is typically best used to build relationships. How do we use Facebook as individuals? I know that I use Facebook to keep up with my old friends, my family, people I may have worked with. It's a way for me to hold on to all of my old connections and relationships and keep contact with old friends. And that makes Facebook a great platform for you all to use to build loyalty with your existing customer base. Right now, Facebook is probably not the best place for you to try to reach a new audience because of its very large convoluted population. Your posts nowadays have a very, very limited reach, even within your own network as a business owner. And so Facebook is probably going to be best used to build your relationships and brand loyalty with your existing customers. But it may not be the best option to try to acquire new business. But if you are building a dedicated following of clients and you need a way to keep in contact with them, Facebook is a great option because there's no limits to what to how long your posts are on Facebook. So you can really, really utilize it as a relationship building tool. Twitter is another one of our more popular social media platforms, as we know. It's a very, very good platform to build awareness for your brand and your business. Twitter utilizes hashtags, which we know organizes our conversations around a keyword or phrase. And so some people you're able to search hashtags as a person and learn about what people are talking about. And I highly recommend utilizing hashtags to do market research on your industry and your target customers to determine what is trending right now within your industry. So if there's a hashtag you were going to use for one of your posts, search that hashtag. See what people are talking about related to that hashtag and use that information to craft your tweets to take part in popular conversations. And because of that, Twitter is very, very insightful into what's trending. And it's also a good way it's oftentimes used by news outlets to get stories out quickly. Because of all of these different factors and the fact that Twitter does have a posting limit of how much you can post, it's very, very good to use Twitter to provide real-time updates to your customers. If you know you're going to have a 24-hour sale, Twitter is a great place to post about it because Twitter is all about what's happening now. I'm not going to go through Pinterest, which is, I say, a very, very helpful tool. It's kind of like an online scrapbooking website. It can be very, very helpful for those businesses that are in highly visual industries. Same thing with Instagram. Instagram is actually one of the fastest growing platforms, along with TikTok, which you do not see on the slide here, which I'm still kind of waiting to pull solid metrics and information on. But Instagram and TikTok are both one of the more faster growing platforms out there, especially among young audiences. So if you are targeting young audience, you essentially, you want to make sure that you are understanding the ins and outs of those and the demographics of those younger customers that are utilizing those platforms. And Instagram, similarly to Pinterest and also even YouTube, which we see here, rely mostly on visual communications, whether that be a picture, a video, but you also have captions also as well to help strengthen your value with your postings. But Instagram is a platform that's very popular with young people because it doesn't seem to have as much, and TikTok as well, because they don't seem to have as much noise, as much clutter as Facebook. People are able to go and log on to TikTok and similarly to Twitter, see what's going on now, get access to content quickly in short form ways that allow them to access a bunch of information at one time. So it will be very beneficial for you to analyze first your customers and then the platforms themselves to determine what is going to be the best fit. Please, 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 if you haven't gone online already, don't think that it is beneficial for you to try to go on to Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, all at one time. I think it's a much better practice to lead off with the social media platforms that are most relevant to your target customer segments and utilize quality postings on maybe one or two social media platforms versus not having quality content on 5. And Gail, thank you for the comment. I'm guessing that Facebook and Pinterest are best for retirees, maybe YouTube, anywhere I can go to check that hypothesis. Yes, Gail, there is some market research and data that we can find out that will probably support that belief. And I would love, Gail, once I connect with you all after the class, for us to maybe set up a one-on-one and kind of dive into some of that research and make sure that that you have the best understanding of what platform is going to be best for those retirees. I can tell you that Facebook is going to be good. Pinterest can also be good for that demographic. It also depends on what you're selling. I didn't talk about LinkedIn. LinkedIn is also popular with, I would say, older individuals, but if you're thinking retirees, I think Facebook and maybe YouTube are probably going to be the ones that are going to be the most popular. But what we would challenge ourselves with is really drawing out what type of retirees are you targeting? What else do we know about these retirees that can help strengthen that segment to then help us better determine which different platforms we're going to use? So those will be our next step, Gail. Then wrapping up for the day and talking about how to take all of this information with you and move into actually developing your marketing strategy and then the tactics from that strategy that you are going to use. We talked a little bit about, and I showed you one version of a content calendar, but you don't have to pay through one of those content automation tools for your own content calendar. I have an Excel spreadsheet that I can share with you that will essentially do the same thing. I highly recommend taking one day out of the week to schedule and design your social media strategy for the rest of the week. That includes what your goal is for social media and your online presence for that week. Are you trying to get 2 new leads to the site? Are you trying to get 2 sales? What are you trying to get? Then utilizing something or any type of social media marketing calendar to actually schedule all of your different content for the week. And then I also recommend setting aside another day of the week for you to do follow-up, for you to take a look at all of those insights, the metrics and analytics that the social media platforms provide. I noticed that one person was interested in diving deeper into their analytics. I do definitely have some availability for a one-on-one in that regard, because there is some market research that we can access and pull to try to better understand some of your analytics and determine what those trends are as well. But that's an important component to this. You create all these different goals in the beginning of this process, but you need to also make sure, go back to the PowerPoint here, you need to also make sure that those goals are you're able to tangibly measure success for your online marketing presence and strategy. And I think that is all that I have for you all today. I would love to open the floor up for any questions. I will also quickly share my screen to show you all the social media strategy template that I have for you all, that I would love to share with you all. And this will kind of help you take the next steps from the presentation today, start to choose your social networks, understand and start planning your content, start to also utilize your core competencies within your online marketing planning. And so I would love to share that with you all as well, but I would love to open the floor for any questions. Thank you all so much.
I have a question.
Sure.
This is Tennille McLean. How are you?
Doing well.
That's good. My question, which was what you were just speaking about, is about the social media, the analytics. Like my Instagram account is a business account through Instagram, to just so that I can, have the analytics and get that information. But I don't know how to use it. Like it's like I have this account, for that particular reason, but I don't really know how to use the analytics. And it's just a lot of stuff on there, and I'm always like, okay, now what does that mean? What is the engagement? What is this? What is that? Like, how do you learn more about that, or get the information that you need from the data that they provide?
And so I think that's a great question. And I always say, when you look at these numbers and you say, okay, well, my engagement rate is 40%. I've gotten 5 clicks on each post. you don't know if that's good or bad when you don't have benchmarks to compare that to.
Right.
So one of the best practices would be for us to get together, and I have the ability to pull, and these aren't the end all be all, but we can pull data and statistics that show what the average engagement rates are, and what the benchmarks are for those different metrics and analytics, so that you're better able to determine how you're performing. Because I say that all the time, you really don't know how you're measuring up if you don't have a comparison, if you don't know what's good and bad. So the first step will be for us to figure out information and statistics that we can benchmark from. That will be helpful. And then I will always take it back to your target customer segment and understanding and utilizing, well, okay, if I know I'm targeting them, then me reaching this amount of them in this week, or 75% of my posts reaching people in this zip code is good, because I know that in this zip code are people that I am targeting. So kind of finding benchmarks for us to use will be helpful, and then tying all these analytics back into what your goals are and who you're targeting and why. And so I would love to set up some time, Mr. Neal, for us to chat more about it, and we can dive in and try to find some of this information for you.
Okay, great. Sounds good to me. Thank you.
And then, Ronald, I saw you did have this question earlier too, and I apologize that I missed it before. You do not have to pay royalty for the content that you find on those content curation tools. And that's kind of one of the reasons why they're valuable, because you know how many times you need a photo for a flyer, but you got to go and find a stock photo. You got to find royalty-free content. So BuzzSumo and those content curation tools allow you to use content that is already royalty-free. That is a great question, Ronald. So thank you for that, and thank you for joining. And then Michelle had a question about business accounts for Facebook and Instagram. Do business Facebook and Instagram accounts need to be linked to a personal account? They do not. And in fact, one of the biggest challenges is that unlinking process from a brand perspective that usually happens when you start your business off more as a brand and then have to translate it and separate your brand, or separate your personal brand, or separate yourself and translate that brand into an actual formal business. Thank you, Andrew, for joining. So they don't need to be linked to a personal account, no. And in fact, sometimes it gets challenging when you start off as a personal account to make that separation. So if you can start the business and start the page separately and just utilize your personal brand to strengthen that business page, that's a much better way to go than for them to be completely actually linked, if that makes sense, Michelle. And I think if no one else had any questions, then I will turn it back over to you, Michelle. And thank you so much, as always, for everyone to join.
Yes, thank you very much. I put Amina's email address in the chat so you can get a hold of her to set up a one-on-one. I've also put a link for the program next month, which will be specifically on Facebook marketing. And thank you, Amina, for this wonderful program. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. And thank you to the people in the future who are watching this recording.